Welcome back to the party. I'm Luke Inman, Locked On Sports Minnesota. On today's show, we're discussing what kind of flowers KOC picked out for Robert Kraft. I think he's a tulip kind of guy.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan at the Wide Left Substack. I'm looking over the show notes to see what we're discussing. Seems like an all right show. I don't know.
It's not.
And I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Believe it or not, I have that same jacket that Justin Jefferson wore, but now I probably shouldn't wear it anymore.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Football Party podcast. Guys, just 3 days away from the NFL draft. Sam Ekstrom out again, so it's the three-man crew. You got the two Lukes, Arif Hassan. And on today's show, I got some quarterback superlatives for you guys I want to go over. Plus, we got a lot of rumors, a lot of buzz we got to sift through regarding Justin Jefferson extension. There was also, just this morning, some more news that dropped about the Atlanta Falcons tampering, what that could mean for the Minnesota Vikings. Plus, of course, once again, we're going back to the PFF mock draft simulator. See if we can do better than we did last time with our Vikings mock draft.
Better just
have
means
at least
picking
20
on
minutes.
time, right? Yeah.
3.0. Yeah, we got to go quick, guys. We got so much to go through. We got to be serious, all right? We got to go quick. And, of course, if we got time at the end, always love to take some questions, a little Q&A. So hit us up in the chat throughout the next 30, 35 minutes or so. All right. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, guys, seriously, so much I want to get into. So please, let's keep it on the rails today. Okay, Arif, I'm looking at you.
Do you think he's wearing real leather in the picture at the Wolves game? Or
Well, let's get into that. Let's get into that. Let's just jump out the A topic, right? Okay, here we go. Saturday, guys. Saturday was a fun day. If you're a Minnesota sports fan, Saturday was a great day because not only did your Minnesota Timberwolves thump the Phoenix Suns, but about halfway through the game, yeah, we could probably spend the next 40 minutes on how fun that T-Wolves game was. But about halfway through, they panned over to some courtside seats, and we got to see not only Adrian Peterson, he was in attendance, but we got to see Justin Jefferson. He was dripped out head to toe. Apparently, Luke Braun's got the jacket as well. Sounds like JJ copied Luke,
Sure,
which,
yeah.
makes sense. LA guy, he's a California guy. But then he posts on his Instagram, too. He said, "The money speaking for itself. I call it fortune tell," which, as we all know, I mean, we didn't have to look this up later. Definitely me. I didn't have to find out that was a Drake lyric. Okay. All right. Arif, I'm sure you knew that, right? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. So now a lot of people, they're kind of connecting the dots, right? Is the extension done behind the scenes? And I mean, really, you take a step back. It wouldn't be a huge surprise, right? They got all this money with Kirk Cousins gone now. You're about to draft a rookie quarterback, so you're probably not shopping or you're not risking the best weapon in football leaving the building. But I think up to this point, we really hadn't heard much from JJ in a while until all of a sudden we got all this stuff over the weekend, the social media posts. He's at the T-Wolves game and all this and that. So what's your guys' guts? Is a deal done? And what I'm probably most curious about, your guys' thoughts, what's it mean when and if this deal gets done? What's it mean for the team's roster construction? Like, what's their game plan going to be for the next handful of years? Because this is going to be a monster deal. It's going to soak up a lot of money in this cap, and it's going to have a ripple effect for the next 4, 5, 6 years potentially on how you're going to have to build the rest of the team through the draft and so forth. So whoever wants to start, go ahead, jump at it. What's your gut say right now with this JJ deal?
Probably already has, right? Probably already has an impact in the way that they've set up their cap
so that
they can absorb that hit.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the plan. It's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's written in the clouds. I don't know that a deal is done, but I think the idea that they've been close to a deal for a long time is I don't know if this confirms it, but this is consistent with it, right? I don't if a deal was done and signed, I don't know that they'd be able to keep that quiet all the way to training camp. I don't think they'd be able to keep that quiet in the 3 days heading up to the draft. So I think if a deal was done, we'd know. But I do think that for the most part, they're largely agreed in most of the principles. I don't think that there's going to be a huge impact on the cap this year. One, for the reason that Luke said that they've kind of already accounted for that, but two, because there's already a $19 million cap hit, and the first year of these deals is always like pretty low anyway. It might even have the capacity to reduce his cap hit for this upcoming year with like the consequences of whatever that means down the line. So I don't think that there's much from a roster construction perspective that you can get out of interpreting his posting of Drake lyrics, but I don't know, it's fun. It's supposed to be like a jean jacket, but in leather, right? Like is that the deal? Very like late 80s.
What is that, European? 90s. What is that? Because they always got the new trends going on over there. What do you think that
patches
is?
And the studs? Yeah. I don't know. I like it, but it takes a little bit for the eye to get used to if you've seen a lot of jackets.
Arif, I could see you showing up to day one down in Mobile at Senior Bowl practice in something like that. And like nobody would bat it. Oh, Arif Hassan, there he is, Mr. Big Shot. There he is.
Big shot. Yeah, people would notice if I'm not wearing a hoodie today and I'm uncomfortable. Like
that's the thing, man. All right. So fair enough. Pretty simple, short and sweet. Again, I think a deal's done as well. And like you said, Luke and Arif touched on, yeah, I mean, they've already kind of set the blueprint, right? The foundation is in place. You're going to draft a rookie quarterback, more than likely, sign JJ to this big deal, and you go from there. The other big news this morning, Shefty Bomb, Adam Schefter came out today. He said the Eagles and Falcons, those tampering cases that we've heard about, they could be resolved as early as this week. First of all, I'm thinking, yeah, better be resolved by Thursday afternoon at the latest. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. But he also said that discipline action will likely involve draft picks, and the discipline is expected to be worse for the Atlanta Falcons. So it's kind of all very intriguing stuff here. We've kind of touched on it on previous episodes. I'm kind of liking everything I'm hearing so far from this recent report this morning from Schefter. But let's just real quick, just kind of go over like what's the realistic scenarios here, just as far as like what we've seen, from the NFL. And kind of repercussions they put on teams in the past, like the Dolphins a few years ago, for example. They just got stripped their first round pick, right? They tampered with Sean Payton, I believe, and Tom Brady. There was no pick swap or anything like that. They just got stripped. So I know it's tough to say, but maybe like a good, better, best scenario. Like my good scenario, Falcons lose their 8th pick. Everybody slides up a spot. Okay, Vikings would then have the 10th and 22nd pick.
That would be so insane to do a week before the draft.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with this is like it almost feels like for everybody, like doing this after the draft would be better so that they can properly plan for it. Because suddenly everybody slides up a spot and like
shouldn't cheat. But also Arizona, they got, reprimanded. They got, kind of the slap on the wrist the week of the draft as well last year, correct? So the timing wouldn't be as crazy. And it's like, oh man, as much as that sucks for you, it
like
wouldn't
a third
be that
round pick swap is way different than losing
of course,
the 8th overall pick.
Of course.
So
no,
I would, especially because you still have like you have your draft plans, right? If you still have a 3rd round pick. I don't think it's going to be anything close to, what happened with Miami. I don't think it'd be like a 1st round pick swap or anything like that, which would be a godsend, right? But I don't think it'd be that.
Kirk Cousins ever did for the Vikings.
Right, no kidding.
I mean, he really did secure them the ring, huh? I would say that Can
you imagine?
It's unlikely to be that dramatic because like what the Dolphins did with Tom Brady wasn't just like a violation of like the rules in the text. It was like a clear violation of the spirit and the intent of the rules in a dramatic fashion in a way that's poaching someone who's already under contract. The Kirk Cousins thing, I don't want to say it's just a technicality. It's just one of those situations where you have to enforce the rule because if you don't, it'll spiral. Right. Mm-hmm. That is like that is the backstop against, tampering moving into February. Right. Like that's the thing is that the rule is being enforced to make sure the rule exists, which is way different than, oh, my God, you just poached a guy like that. It's different. Right. And so I think that that's going to mediate the level of punishment here because the amount of material harm is relatively small. Contacting the team having the team contact the player instead of through his agent, a thing that is allowed when you don't have an agent, right? Like it's a relatively minor infraction in this case, even though it is like clear and obvious. So I would imagine, Ben, I'm sorry, I don't think that's happening.
It should, though.
But
I mean, he's onto something there. It should.
I think if the Falcons lost the 98 NFC Championship game as a result of this, as a ruling, they would not get the Super Bowl trophy. They would just be 0-5, I think, is what the official record would show in Super Bowls. Is that better? Do you want that, Ben?
Which
the Broncos have
game,
suffered enough today. They
which
don't need to
championship
be
game would you
vacated
rather
Super
have
Bowl.
back? The 09 with Favre in New Orleans or 98 versus Atlanta at home?
Isn't that the grandest question?
That's a
Super
very
fun.
Vikings
That's what you want to
fan
talk
question.
about. That's what you
Yeah.
want to talk about. Yeah,
We can talk about that in May. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be dramatic. I wouldn't shock me if it was like another third round pick swap or something like that. I mean, Schefter did suggest that it was going to be a more severe punishment. But
well, right.
can't
So I
imagine-
mean, does that kind of is that too much of a tease? Do you think like is the worst case scenario probably the most realistic scenario? That again, it's just
Like,
like
what
a
if
late
instead of
pick
a
swap,
third round-
fifth round, third round pick swap, something like that.
Well, if it's more severe, and especially because the Vikings don't have a third round pick for a third round pick swap,
Yep.
it might just be give the Vikings your third round pick, right? Like that is
That would
more
be-
severe than what happened to Arizona.
That'd be
right?
insane.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it would
You kidding
be,
me?
but it's funny to me. So
Yeah.
Dude, think about wouldn't that just be the best news in the world? Like the 1 year the Vikings
it's
are
a third
finally
round pick.
ready.
It's good news. I don't know about the best news.
It's
in the
free
world.
though. It's for free. Like you're just giving me a third round pick for free. Like we didn't have to do any. It's not like, oh, this is going to cost me years down the road. I'm mortgaging the future. It's just a free third round pick, man. They got no
It's
third round-
nice.
The year that I'm saying of all the year that it sounds like, right? They're going to package and move up and try to get a quarterback to just get this
It's very
free extra
convenient
third round pick.
timing. Yeah,
That would
that's
be
for
great,
sure.
man. That would be awesome. All right, plenty more to deep dive, including what bouquet of flowers did KOC pick out for Robert Kraft? That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Gametime, because you should never have to worry when buying tickets to any big event. That's why Gametime, it's the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets to any local event like concerts, comedy shows, sporting events, even Broadway theater. Personally, I'm always using Gametime to get the best deals. In fact, I just used Gametime last week to buy tickets to Hans Zimmer this September at the Target Center. That's right. I know you guys are jealous. And Gametime helped me get the best deal possible and made my experience simple and stress-free. And with their all-in prices, Gametime showed me exactly how much I'm spending with no hidden fees. It's time to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app. See for yourself just how easy it is. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, just create any new account and redeem your code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Gametime, terms apply. Favorite Hans Zimmer film instrumental? Go.
What?
He did Pirates, right?
Oh, he's done everything, dude. Pirates, Interstellar for me. It's Interstellar.
Oh, Interstellar's a good one.
Dune's up there. People forget he did Lion King, the OG Lion King. I mean, so many bangers in that Lion King, the OG one.
Fantastic football podcasting here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So over the weekend,
What?
Hans Zimmer? You kidding me? I've been in 90. Look, you sounded like confused. Like what? Who is?
No, that's the wrong Zimmer, Luke. That's
It's so wrong.
because that's a good podcast. Okay, let's talk about Mike Zimmer. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Luke, you sound
All right.
bitter, man.
Which
Take
one?
A shot, man. It's
Which
fine.
one? Which one? Okay, we gotta talk about football. It's a football podcast. Okay, the viral clip. Maybe you guys saw it. Maybe you didn't. KOC at the church on stage with the pastor doing some Q&A. Some legend comes up. All of a sudden, grabs the mic. He says, "What's your thoughts on J.J. McCarthy? What's your thoughts on Drake May?" And in so many words, basically asked them, "Are you trading up to 3?" KO's response got a lot of eyeballs because he basically said, "Okay, I sent Robert Kraft a nice bouquet of flowers. I may or may have not have done that," basically in so many words. So it really feels like, what we've said all along, that he wants to move up for Drake May to number 3. That's a strong possibility here. But the question, I guess, becomes, and Mike Reese pointed this out, by the way, Patriots insider for ESPN, the Patriots, they're not going to move off the pick unless it's an actual literal king's ransom. We're talking both firsts, next year's first, 2026 first, maybe even some change on top of that. Luke, I know you've been GGYG, go get your guys since day one, which I respect. Is there a cutoff point, though? Everyone's got their price. You got to draw the line in the sand somewhere, right? Like, if you're running the team, at what point do you say, okay, this roster just isn't good enough to give up that many picks? Like, what's your top price, if you even have one? Or is it just go get your guy no matter what?
You kind of start running out, right? You give up 11, 23, the 2025 first. You can give up the other first in 2026, but that's 2 years deferred. That's going to be difficult for that to move the needle a lot, right? The value of that is going to be pretty depreciated. And then what, you got like third rounders in the future and stuff. Like, what else do you have? You know, I'm not giving up players that would be part of that QB's development. So maybe that's where the line is. You know, if they say, all right, but we want Christian Darrisaw, we want Justin Jefferson. Well, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the Vikings having a roster that's ready to nurture a QB. So you're then reducing the value of that quarterback by reducing his chances to pan out because of supporting cast. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So maybe that's where the line is, but I don't know. It's kind of, here's what we have. What do you want of it?
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, there was like a lot of interesting things that came out of that answer, right? I mean, like in addition to the bouquet of flowers sent to Kraft, I mean, he also made the argument that like, hey, you know, you mentioned footwork. Footwork is just not a thing that is as important in the evaluation because that's something that could be fixed. We fix in the NFL, right? Like you mentioned that. He also mentioned that he's been the quarterback killer in Egan, that, you know, they've had a couple of conversations about moving around in the draft to grab a quarterback. And he's been kind of the one that's been like, I'm not really feeling this guy. So I think that that's kind of interesting too, right? These are all like parts of the puzzle pieces, like parts of the puzzle that we just haven't had as much confirmation of, you know, before. So it was kind of cool to get all that. I will say just in terms of like trading up, I don't know that, like, it very much seems like the way the Patriots are conducting this is that the Vikings are not throwing heaven and earth at them, right? Very much seems like the Vikings are fairly measured in the way that they're attempting a trade up, right? Because if the Patriots keep on signaling, hey, we're willing to trade down, that suggests to me that they don't like what they've received as offers and they want more teams to get involved in order to increase the price. So that would then suggest to me that the Vikings are not throwing, you know, a 2025 and a 2026 first in there as well, right? I think it's like the Vikings are offering these two firsts. They're offering some change, maybe next year's third, right? And the Patriots are like, man, quarterback? I feel like you kind of want to throw in more. And you know, the Vikings are like, well, then pick a guy. Like,
right, that's the thing. Right, that's the thing. Yeah, it always felt like, boy, for Washington at 2 and New England at 3, boy, it would make sense that it would take a lot for them to move off those picks because there is such premium blue chip quarterback prospects to a lot of people's analysis, and they both need them really badly. So you would think that, you know, it would have to be a lot for them to even consider moving off a guy like Drake May or Jaden McDaniels if you're Washington at pick 2. I'm with you too, like. The 2 firsts, of course, 2026 first, I'm fine with, and then some change, you know. I mean, you got 2 fourths, 2 fifths, 2 sevenths this year. If you need a little bit of change, whether it's this year, next year, 2026, fine. But that always kind of felt like my max. Just giving up the 2025 first, and I don't think the Vikings are going to be necessarily, you know, the Carolina Panthers situation, right? That the Bears all of a sudden have the number 1 overall pick like next year. I think they're going to be better than that. But you go look at some odds and it's like, okay, well, right now, as of today, okay, your odds on favorite to be the last place team in your division alone. It just scares me a little bit. That's all. It just scares me. And you know, if the asking price was both first this year, 2025 first, and then a 2026 first, at that point, I'd rather try to build a great team around the next best guy, even if the drop off is what you think to be considerate. And we should talk about that too. Like the Giants I don't think are taking a quarterback, not when they owe Daniel Jones $80 million. We talked about that last week. I don't think the Raiders are moving up, and you can match any offer the Denver Broncos give another team inside the top 10. So if you do miss out on Drake May, which is a realistic possibility, I see no world where you feel the need or pressure to trade up to 4 for JJ McCarthy if that's your next guy. And for that matter, no real need to trade up to 5, 6, 7, or 8. I mean, 9 with Chicago is when I probably pick up the phone and say, hey, let me know if Denver or someone is trying to trade up. Let me try to match
Chicago's
that
going to
offer.
make that deal with you.
Well, we've already traded inside the division 90 times. What are you talking about? That's old school thought.
I think Denver will be a lot more aggressive than that. If you just like sit there and let picks start coming off the board, I think Denver starts calling and jumping.
Of course,
but like everybody knows
before the week and say, hey, if Denver calls you, man, let us be the first to. We got the ammo. So
everybody knows that you'll outbid. So it's not like there's like you're gonna get you're gonna fall asleep at the wheel or anything.
Denver could pull like the classic, like this is what a bunch of people do in like auction drafts and fantasy, where they bid not because they want the player, but because they want the other team to just run out of money.
That's such a thing.
Sure.
It's like, it's like, you know what? Screw you. We're not going to get our quarterback. Screw you.
Sean Payton.
But I will say, I mean, the Vikings have traded twice in the division, but both times the Vikings were trading down, allowing a team to trade up. They were more than happy to do that, much to their own chagrin, it seems like. But also it is different when it's like a quarterback, right? Like, I don't think you trade in division to let a team get a quarterback. Like that to me,
you only trade in division.
Maybe you go 8.
Let a team get their wide receiver 4 in the top 50.
So maybe you go 8. Is that what you're saying? Maybe you go 8. I'm just saying. Do you agree? If you lose out on Drake May,
extremely funny. It would be so funny if the Atlanta Falcons got penalized in the draft because of all of this stuff, and then need to make up for the picks they lost as a result of tampering by trading with the Vikings. They'd just be like, "Oh, did you lose your third? Do you want it back?"
Right. Oh, you need this? Oh, go ahead. Just take it.
I know you had plans for it.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you guys see? Just speaking of JJ McCarthy,
I need that to happen.
Did you guys see the movement that's kind of gone down? This happens every single year.
I don't care. Whatever.
Oh,
the in Vegas with some of these draft prop bets, basically, they've been pretty wild. They fluctuated and been very fluid the last 72 hours or so, because after all that Jaden McDaniel stuff came out about he didn't like the Washington visit and things didn't go well, that whole thing got a little rocky. Not only did Drake May's odds shoot way up to be drafted number 2 overall, but JJ's odds went from plus 2,400 to plus 1,100. So a huge swing. To be fair, plus 1,100, that's still a huge long shot. So let's be real there. I mean, plus 1,100, that's a long shot.
4% to 8%? I don't know. I mean, technically his odds doubled, but
yeah. So do you think that's just Vegas, hedging, protecting themselves, or do you think there is a world? Do you think there's multiple worlds where Washington doesn't end up drafting Jaden McDaniels at pick 2? Is it smoke, or
someone laid a big bet at one of the books?
That could be
too. Moved. The other books moved in response. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, obviously, we all remember like when this happened with Will Levis last year, where he actually moved from positive to negative odds to be picked like second overall. And then
so
Bryce
funny that
Young,
a Redditor did that.
That's so hilarious. Just a random guy on Reddit who was like, "Hey, I was told." Like okay.
Who later came out and was like, "Yeah, I lied entirely. I was just
100% I lied." Which like props, right? Like I have a lot less patience for like fake news stuff, like the Adarn Schefters. Like now, maybe it's because I'm an old man now, but like I have a lot less patience for that kind of stuff now. But that doesn't count. That's funny. That's a very, you just got to do your due diligence there. I cannot believe you believe that sort of thing. Like props to that guy. But yeah, like
that guy's great.
But yeah, like there was just like a ton of betting movement on Will Levis to be picked 1 or 2. Bryce Young's odds got adjusted from like minus 5,000 to like minus 500 or something crazy like that. I tweeted it out last night. I'm going to try and look for it and retweet it, but it was like nuts. And this is like the same thing, except Drake May's movement is actually not that significant. If it's like from 4% to 8%, it just feels significant because the further you get away, like the further in the margins you go, the more those numbers have to add digits in order to move. That's just the way that like it's not logarithmic, but it's the way that kind of math works, reciprocal math works, is that, 1 to 10,000 to 1 to 1,000. Oh my God, his odds increased by 10 times. And it's like 0.1% to 1%, or 0.01% to 0.1%. Like the movement, the absolute movement is small. It just looks big because of the way Vegas odds work. So it's both don't trust Vegas odds and movement.
It's a little bit
second,
of a mirage.
It looks bigger than it is.
Yes.
So
correct.
At FanDuel, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Network, Jaden Daniels is minus 175 and JJ McCarthy is plus 900 to go number 2, but Drake May plus 175. So that sort of, it's not the JJ McCarthy thing, but it's still a little bit of doubt that it just like definitely will be Jaden Daniels.
Let's just say, just for example, I mean, the whole point of all these conversations just to simulate each scenario, what could happen. So let's just say Washington throws a curveball. They take Drake May at 2. Do the Pats sprint up to the podium at 3 for Jaden Daniels, or are the Vikings even more likely to offer that King's ransom now to get up to 3? Is it the same percentage-wise for Drake May or Daniels? Like what's more? Do you think the Vikings like Jaden just as much, if not more, than Drake May, if that were to go down like that?
I have no idea. There's been certainly less smoke, probably because it's not something that like a reporter or anybody investigating this would like think to spend their time asking, because like, he's going to be a commander. Like, so it's just not a conversation that you're going to hear about a lot.
Yeah. Plus, we don't have the connections with McCown and everything else too that have built up as well. Makes
a lot of sense. So I wonder if that means that the Vikings also are like, he's a commander. Like, it's kind of a moot point, or if that's just like people not asking the question because of that.
Right.
But for whatever reason, it's just been like a lot less noise. So it's really hard to say.
So who do you think, I'm just looking at the quarterbacks drafted last year. Who do you think KOC was the quarterback killer for? Obviously, they knew Bryce Young was going 1. They probably knew CJ Stroud was going 2. Anthony Richardson was the, after months after the draft came out, or weeks or whatever it was.
I mean, they straight passed on Will Levis.
They straight up passed on Will Levis. There was rumors that they were trying to move up for AR-15 though, and then obviously we talked about him and Hooker. They passed on Hooker multiple times as well. Do you think it was Richardson or more Levis? I mean, that's I think what it boils down to: Richardson or Levis.
I think it was Levis, because he's pretty good friends with Liam Cohen, who was Levis's offensive coordinator for many years at Kentucky. They're like close. So he would have like, there's connections there. Like if anyone's going to know, he's going to know. And they just were like, receiver.
I'm just going to go receiver. No big deal. One more rumor.
This guy was pretty good at Pitt, right? Yeah, let's grab him.
He was fine. All right. Yeah. One more rumor out there. I don't know if you guys saw it. And this last rumor we're touching on for the day, and then I'm tapping out. Antonio Brown. He's been known to nail some predictions as of late. He thinks pending a physical. We got to talk about it, guys. Justin Herbert is going to be shipped to Minnesota for multiple firsts and Christian Darrisaw. Now, okay, I know, guys, come on. Let's be real. I know it's 1,000 to 1. All right. The dead cap alone makes it
literally cannot be processed. It is an invalid.
The dead cap alone makes it a nightmare. So just for argument's sake here, how would you be ecstatic if you got Justin Herbert? Would you be ecstatic? Would you be okay with? Yeah, but wait a minute. For parting ways with somebody like Christian Darrisaw and all those picks we talked about, the King's ransom.
Obviously I'd hate to part with Darrisaw, right? There's no question about that. But like, Justin Herbert is like a top 4 or 5 quarterback. Like, it's nuts how good he is. And obviously, like, he doesn't get, plaudits for it because his team doesn't win. And, his numbers aren't up there with some of these other top quarterbacks. But, he's like better than Jalen Hurts. And like, look at how good that guy is. I don't know. Obviously, that would rule. Obviously, losing Darrisaw would not be awesome. And it would, put the Vikings back in a position where they're now looking for O-line help again. And Herbert just got out of a situation where like the O-line was a persistent problem for him. Like that all sucks, right? But Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson, the 2 offensive rookies of the year from that class.
Oh, JJ robbed of the offensive rookie of the year.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Robbed.
No, us, the Unbiased Vikings podcast, are correct in this assessment.
If Zimmer,
we are objectively,
this is a Zimmer podcast. If Zimmer would have started him, not even game 1, game 2, even who knows? Maybe
man.
But I mean, that would rule, and it would be worth it, I think. Also very funny because then Harbaugh gets to, put his money where his mouth is and draft JJ McCarthy.
Dude, plus he's got his offensive line set now with Darisaw in the mix as well. That would be hilarious.
It would be very funny and very fun. And it would also allow Roman Wilson to potentially be correct about Harbaugh drafting 5 or 6 Michigan Wolverines.
Oh my gosh. Corum, Roman, JJ, grab the linebacker at Corlson, grab the linebacker.
The problem for the Chargers is they'd have to cut like 4 players to make it possible on the cap.
Oh, no.
To even make it possible. Yeah.
They'd have to they'd have to lose like a lot.
They'd have to lose a lot.
Their
they'd
own
have
roster.
to eat a lot. And I think my biggest problem, obviously anybody would be ecstatic, obviously. And again, this is all made up fairy tale stuff. But the ideal dream scenario blueprint for every NFL team, you roll with that rookie quarterback on the rookie deal, build the Super Bowl window around that cheap contract for 4 or 5 years. So the idea of, again, I know it's Justin Herbert, but just soaking up all that money, I would almost, I don't want to say, I would rather, but I still want to see. I'm just so
clear,
enticed
the Vikings
and
aren't
intrigued.
the ones soaking up all the money.
For the dead cap, yeah. But you're still soaking up. Now, all of a sudden, you got a Justin Jefferson mega contract. Obviously, you're paying Justin Herbert a lot of money as well. But my point is, over the last couple months, I've just become so ingrained in the idea of I can't wait to watch KOC do what you hired him to do, be a quarterback guru, handpick your guy, develop him the way you want to do, and still have all that money left over being on that quarterback rookie contract. So, obviously pie in the sky kind of stuff. Just thought it was hilarious and just wanted you guys' 2 cents on this. I got some quarterback superlatives here. Are you guys fairly confident that you've seen enough of this quarterback class to rip out a couple quarterback superlatives with me here?
I can make a good guess. I'm sure both of you will correct me if I'm wrong, and
Well,
I'm comfortable with that.
Let's just start out super easy. Strongest arm of the
Joe
class.
Milton.
Joe Milton. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
All right. Best dual threat. Jaden McDaniels.
Done. Great.
Daniels.
Okay.
Kind of Joe Milton too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually kind of true. Yeah. Depending on which
I'm
video
sure there's
clip you watch.
some like total random in the 7th that is like this really cool dual threat, but can't throw it all that no one's paying attention to. There's always one of those.
Yeah.
Well,
always.
that would inhibit the first part of the dual threat, I would think.
That's okay. Fair enough. How about
Something I
quarterback? And we've talked about this quite a bit, but quarterback that fits Kevin O'Connell's offensive scheme and philosophy the best.
I mean, aside from like Caleb Williams, because he does,
I guess,
on time and in structure, and so I think the issue here is that you kind of need to I don't think we have a good understanding of Kevin O'Connell's scheme, and that's not a criticism.
I think that's fair
of us, but I think
it's adaptable. Yeah,
it's very adaptable. But I think the things that matter are, one, the ability to operate within a timing system, but that operates with a different timing than most timing systems, right? So the ability to kind of hit a bit of a deep shot, the ability to hit at the middle of the field relatively consistently, and the ability. And I think for O'Connell, stuff like ball placement matters a little bit more than in other systems. That's just the intuition I've been picking up a little bit.
McVay thing. It's very timing, time and space work together in a very specific tandem.
Yeah, and so within that, sure, Caleb Williams. Outside of Caleb Williams, it's tough because May is not a timing quarterback. McCarthy, to me, doesn't really have great ball placement. Jaden Daniels doesn't throw over the middle of the field. So, what do I do with that?
Right.
It's certainly not Spencer Rattler. Certainly not Bo Nix. It might be Michael Penix, right? Okay, actually, it's probably Michael Penix.
Honestly, seriously, I mean, we talked about that months ago. Yeah, we've mentioned that just as far as
this is not me advocating that they.
No, I get it.
I don't know if we can say ball placement is really important and then go with Michael Penix.
Okay, no, you're right. This is tough.
It's tough, right? That's why
me.
I put it in there. It's kind of tricky.
It's May for me because the timing is there. And that's both Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy can be late sometimes, and that's not so much a thing for May. And that Drake May really likes to throw on the run. He's really comfortable on the run, maybe more comfortable on the run than he is in the pocket. And rollouts, cool. We've got that. We've got a whole section of the playbook that's meant to maximize that in particular. And because he can run, he can scramble, he can he has that athleticism, he can sort of be his own check down in those situations, which allows you to be more aggressive about it. And then I think the mentality that Kevin O'Connell has always been really aggressive. He wants to be aggressive at all times. He wants to be on the attack at all times. That's absolutely vibes with Drake May's
he's
mentality.
so aggressive. Yeah.
So I think that fit
Let's go with May.
wise, yeah. Plus,
I
you
think
just
you're
talked
right.
about like footwork can be fixed, which is like,
Okay, it's
if
a good
you do
point.
that, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
then,
like
it'll
it.
resolve the ball placement concerns.
Right. We found a way not to go with Michael Penix. That's what's most important. All right.
Good.
Most likely to lead the NFL in touchdowns and turnovers, aka, think of the Brett Favre of the group, more or less. Not Caleb. Caleb's too easy, I feel like, for some of these.
Well, if
So
we're
outside
doing
of-
like
that's also May.
if we're doing volatility, that's probably May.
Drake.
It could be Penix.
Yeah. Like the bozo ball stuff that you get from Drake May is very like Josh Allen on a weird day coded.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen a couple of people that are like Josh Allen, but without as strong an arm, and it's like, well, that's kind of funny because it's like the defining feature of Josh Allen. But I see where you're going because he just does stuff. Sometimes he's just like, all right, I guess I'm doing this now, and he just like scrambles, and it's like, you didn't actually need to scramble. Okay,
Right.
fine, it worked.
Man, Mike
What are
Penix
you
has
doing?
shooters in the chat. He will go down as the best QB
one.
in this draft, according to Joe.
Yeah, Joe's all about it. Hey, Joe's. Hey, call your shot, man. Go get your guy. If
Dude,
if
I
you
hope
like
so,
Penix,
man.
you like Penix,
that
man.
guy's been through a bit.
Absolutely. Okay, I got two more quick ones here, and then we'll jump to segment 3, and we'll get to that PFF live mock draft.
We
Guy
already
you
know
want
that.
leading your fourth quarter 2-minute drill the most?
Jaden Daniels.
I feel like this
I
is
don't mind that,
this is like
actually.
what like JJ McCarthy never had to do it at Michigan because they were always winning. But
Mhm.
anytime they had a 3rd and long, they were like, all right, I guess you're just gonna like will us out of this. I feel like he's got the juice.
The 3rd and long stuff is kind of weird too because they did like QB draw him on 3rd and long too, and it's just like I don't know that that's gonna work in the NFL. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I know,
It's
it's such a
very
project,
weird the
I
way
know.
they treated his 3rd and longs. JJ McCarthy just didn't have that many. Like against Alabama was fine. I think I want to go with Jaden Daniels. I mean, obviously Caleb didn't really step up this year in those situations. That was pretty big. Not Drake May in this particular context. If Michael Penix didn't collapse in the championship game, I think maybe we could have that conversation. But I don't know. Washington wasn't that close in a ton of other games, so it wasn't
That's
as
true.
if.
Yeah. Okay.
And plus, I mean, we want to talk about JJ McCarthy's supporting cast. Michael Penix's supporting cast.
Oh, come on.
standard.
No, just
So,
insane, dude. I can't wait to. Everybody talks
so
about the receivers. There's 2 offensive linemen that are going to get drafted. I think higher than a lot of people think there as well. So
I think
you're totally right.
I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. So both he and McCarthy are relatively unfazed by pressure. I think that's, which is not to say that Jaden Daniels has good pocket presence. I think those are 2 different things. But I don't think pressure bothers them.
Mhm.
That's the thing that I think
No.
it helps
That's a fair
define this
point.
year.
All right, last one here. Most likely to bust in comparison to draft capital. So, who's going to be the next? Zach Wilson or Christian Ponder?
Drake May? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you hate Drake May, dude? You
I
heard
love
it.
him.
You heard it live. We're live.
Arif is a Drake May hater. Yep, that's recorded now.
That's
Got it.
out there in the ether now. All right.
Well, pick a different. Well, I mean, okay. So all the McGinn scouts, the esteemed group of McGinn scouts, that complained that Clutch Yosemite grew up in an all-female household. They said that they ranked Caleb Williams number 1, and then also that he had the highest chance of busting in the class.
I kind of get it.
I get it.
So
Yeah.
There's this like pass where everything falls apart because the Bears like handle it wrong.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
that feels like almost I've got to like figure out like what the team will be or like where they're going to get picked. It's like I've almost got to make some predictions about their situation as much as I have to make predictions about like their evaluation.
Yeah, we talk about quarterback ecosystem. We're going to find out really how important this whole quarterback surrounding cast and ecosystem is, including the coach. Everybody loves to compare Caleb Williams to a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes not only got to sit behind Alex Smith, but he has maybe, arguably, the best offensive coach, in NFL history, one of, right? He's in the ranks, right? So we're going to find out, again, completely different situation and scenario for Caleb Williams. I don't love the Patrick Mahomes comps, though, because of it's going to be a completely different situation for this guy. And I just don't think that's very fair.
How about Bo Nix goes 13th to the Raiders and then turns out to not be worth it at all?
If Bo Nix is drafted in the first round, yeah, I'd say he's the most likely to bust.
Yeah, that I could see, definitely. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Coming up next, we can finally nail this PFF Vikings mock draft 3.0 once and for all. All right. That's
Let's
all
just
coming
trade
up.
all our picks to go up so that we don't have as many to make.
That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode is brought to us by Prize Picks. There it is, Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's by far the most exciting and easiest way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. All you got to do, guys, super simple. You pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. The MLB baseball season, that's officially underway. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Or get in on all the NBA playoff action right now and win up to 100 times your money on the Prize Picks app. Plus, Prize Picks now offers weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moments in sports. Not to mention, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. One more time, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Hey, just real quick, Arif, before we jump into this mock draft, and again, we're going to have to fly through this, baby. 49 minutes, and we're out of here. But I wanted to ask you and bring up the consensus big board you've been working on. How many big boards are compiled now? Where can the people find it? And most importantly, what's the biggest thing that's maybe stuck out to you, or what have you learned, I guess, through all the data that you've compiled so far?
Yeah, I would say, so first of all, you can find it at yleft.football. It's now been updated to include 80 boards internally on my computer right now. I've got 85. What's been kind of interesting is that Marvin Harrison and Caleb Williams have been dueling for the top spot. When I was at 80 boards, actually, it was exactly tied, which has never happened in the top 10 in the history of the consensus board. And it was like the first time it had to go to a tiebreaker, which it's math, but it was a very kind of small tiebreaker to put Caleb Williams #1. And now it very much looks like Marvin Harrison will move into the top spot after I ingest a couple of more big boards. So I find that kind of cool that this is the closest it's ever been. No Macho Meech, I'm not dabbing for you. Other kind of interesting things that have popped out. Graham Barton, people have talked about as a guy who can rise into the first round. I think that he wasn't done a bunch of first rounds back in February, and now even in the big boards, he's pretty consistently 2025. That's, I think, kind of cool. JJ McCarthy, when the big board was first published, was at 25th. I think now he's at 22nd, and on my computer, he might actually even be 21st. As more big boards come in, we're more likely to get big boards from bigger media entities, people like Mel Kiper, who right now I think he only has a top 25, so he's not involved. But
did Kiper get you his big board last year?
Yeah, just in time. Yeah, I mean, when you look at say ESPN's big board, or you take a look at some of these big boards that get published a lot closer to the draft, that sometimes signals when there's a draft riser, because people are basing their evaluations based on the stuff they're hearing around the league, or at least letting that influence them. And so I'm kind of curious to see if McCarthy rises from where he was when I published back on Thursday from 25 all the way up to kind of the mid 20s. And what's kind of interesting is that some guys that are ranked in the 40s get mocked into the first round fairly often, and then some guys in the 40s don't at all. Cooper Beebe almost never gets mocked into the first round. Xavier Worthy gets mocked into the first round a fair number of times. They're ranked very similarly. Okay. I just think that that's kind of cool too.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff
that
will happen.
Yeah.
Some of that's position value. Some of that is just hey, the Kansas City Chiefs need a receiver. That plays a role. But I do think that that's kind of cool that like sometimes the mocks and the big boards will disagree. Actually, I just published a piece over at Wide Left about the different types of consensus boards that are out there, and one of them is geared entirely towards predicting draft order, and I find that kind of cool too.
Yeah, honestly, dude, one of the best draft projects out there every year. So if you haven't already, you got to go check that out today over at the Wide Left. Can't wait to see how that whole thing shakes out, not only on draft day, but then to see the draft unfold and see where the consensus, the grades, baby.
Yeah.
It's everybody thinks it's all about draft day and draft weekend. Some of the best part is after looking at the grades, seeing the best fits, team fits, things like that. I can't wait.
Every team did well. They all got steals.
Everybody's
if the
good.
board disagrees, they just don't see the vision.
They don't. Yeah, they don't get it.
That's
well,
right.
we won't know for 3 years minimum. So
yeah, they didn't get good.
The time between the time between the draft and your team's first significant injury, you're allowed to be as much of a homer as you want. I believe this with
absolutely.
my whole heart.
That's what makes this so
unabashed.
Fun. All right,
everybody's going to win 10 games and compete for the division. Everybody.
That's right. Everybody. Easy. All right, we got to fly through this. How do I make this look better though? That's my thing. Let's get this.
We got to fly through this. Wait, hold on. Aesthetically, I gotta.
Okay,
yeah, we gotta fly through this. Yeah, we get it. All right. That's.
I've got a pitch.
Look. Yeah,
I've got
go ahead.
Let's get spicy.
Before you say that, the whole premise of this exercise is to try different things. So I want to do something. So let's get spicy. Than we haven't. Yes, let's get spicy.
Let's get up to 2.
Okay.
And to do that, let's use a whole bunch of our day 3 picks so that we have time to finish this draft.
Okay. Well, I think,
and we probably have to do some future stuff anyways. It won't move a lot, but
yeah, PFF is not optimistic about. Are you just going to move the entire draft?
I mean, well, let's go 2025.
Well, the 2025 round 1, round 3 will probably move the needle more there.
Oh, hey,
and then
okay. Well, let's take the 3 out. Oh, we're still good.
Yeah, there you go. And then every other day 3 picks so that we get
Dude, no.
This
Screw
is
what
not
Luke
accurate.
says. Get 57 back. Get one of their picks back.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah. All right, let's go.
All right. Yeah, fine, fair enough. Try it.
Offer trade. Okay, get rid of the 78.
Take the 78 out. Yeah,
we're good, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Start this draft. Okay. At number 2, Marvin Harrison.
No, Drake May. No, we don't have time. Drake May.
No, Drake May. We're slamming it. We're slamming Drake May. Let's go.
Let's get out of here. Boom. Turbo speed. We're out of here. All right. Next pick, 67. This feels fun.
7. We've got
Jonah Ellis.
I don't
Andrew
like
Phillips.
these at all.
Brandon Dorless.
Yeah. Let's get, I guess, Jonah Ellis. This is bad.
Yeah, I suppose.
Von Baker.
He's like one of the guys I haven't.
Jalen McMillan. Boy, Kyrie Jackson. Austin Booker, Kyrie Jackson.
You're way too far down the board. Just stay in the.
Man, no. John, just do Jonah Ellis and move on. We got to go. We've got
we gotta
3.5 minutes to finish this entire draft, and we've got 6 picks.
We're good.
I like Michael Hall Jr. here. What do you think?
Done.
Okay, great.
We all love Michael Hall. Okay,
there we go.
Wingo or Brownlee. Or Dwayne Carter. We took Dwayne Carter.
Have we done Theo Johnson before?
We just took a
No,
defensive
I'll
tackle.
take Theo.
Yeah, okay.
I want one of these tight ends.
Yeah, we already got enough D-line.
We're good on defensive linemen.
Marcus Rosemary, Jack Saint. It's a little sleeper wide receiver for some people. I do want a receiver.
I don't
Jack
like
Center.
him, actually.
Okay.
He's okay.
Kamal Hayden.
I like DeCamarion Richardson. We can take a look at him.
I was going to say Mississippi State. A little SEC corner.
Let's do it. I like it. Just give Brian Flores as many weapons as possible.
This is going to turn out to be our best.
I know. Watch this.
Right.
Bo Limmer, Javon Foster, I don't mind as that backup swing tackle. Kalen King has really dropped off. I think I'm out on him.
I like KT Leviston.
You like Leviston?
Have we taken him before? Or we considered him before?
We considered him. I don't think we took him.
Like at this point, we're in round 5, so a tackle actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Foster, Leviston over Foster? All right, I like it. Okay, 3 picks left.
Do it.
Still Kamal Hayden and Kalen King still sitting there.
I would be
Vidal,
fine
my guy.
Oh, yeah. Vidal.
We got to get one.
Vidal, my guy. I've definitely watched tape of him for sure.
Aaron Jones, 1 year deal. Yeah. Jalen Simpson, a lot of people like.
I like Tyler Owens more than Jalen Simpson.
Okay. Yeah, the speedster. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Jalen Simpson's still there. Carter Bradley, the
definitely
coach.
Getting cut now.
North Dakota State. Austin Reed. How about a kicker, huh?
Do we grab a receiver? We could grab Bub Means, super athlete.
Oh, Bub Means? Absolutely. Dude, I think Luke's right. This is our best draft. We earned 2 new awards, too. Let's see this grade.
I mean, we
Right.
got
We
Drake
did.
May. Basically everything after that, I don't
Honestly,
care
you
about.
know
Yeah,
what the
this is
kicker was?
gravy.
Getting pick 67 back was so huge.
Yeah.
Just to be able to get a guy like Jonah Ellis and not feel the pressure. All of a sudden, we got to go back to D-line right away. So Michael Hall, Jonah Ellis, I love. Theo Johnson, great Raz score. Really like getting some tight end depth. Got our cornerback there in the mix. Got our hopefully future swing tackle. Got to take a day 3 running back every time. Tyler Owens. A- for that pick. Yeah, good pick there, Arif. And then Bub Means got to get the receiver action. Compete with wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. I like it.
Kind of interesting that when we got
Funny
to
that
the
worked
to the
out.
pick we were awarded here at pick 67, we kind of hated the board.
We kind of hated
Yes,
it.
you're totally right.
Yeah.
You're
Maybe
totally
it's a
right.
bad
We
spot
did.
to be, but
We
Yeah,
did.
whatever.
No, that is that's nice and shiny, guys. Well done. I like it.
We nailed it. Look at us.
Dude, that might have been our best one. I don't know if when Sam gets back on Thursday, if we're going to do one more, but it is draft day. But we got to get out of here. Remember to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're so close to 8,000 subscribers. So you got to go subscribe. Same time, same place this Thursday. Ron Johnson will stop by, plus our final 2024 draft predictions. Sam Ekstrom, again, should be back in the captain's chair. Until then, check out Luke Brown every day on the Locked On Vikings. Check out Arif Hassan and that consensus big board over on his Wide Left Substack. Find me on the Locked On Wolves postcast tomorrow night, Game 2 versus Suns. Tip off for that one, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. For the 2 Lukes and Arif Hassan. Until next time, do it with me. Until next time.
Signing out.
Signing out.
out.
You guys
Got
fine.
it.
Oh, okay.
Nailed it.
Cool. Great.
Signing out. We got to get out of here. All right.